Welcome into the well. We're at what, episode 21. We're going back to back today. Lots of
Is it 21
podcasts
or
today.
22?
We'll figure it out afterwards. I'm sure I got it. I thought it was 21, but maybe it's 22. So this is episode 21 and a half. We're not sure where it kind of fits. So it's either the half episode or a full episode, and in between 21 and 22. And that's my botched introduction. I'm Drew.
And I'm Kat.
And we're very happy to have a very special guest today, another guest. We're enjoying this guest spot for the well. It's been awesome getting to meet and learn about people. And today we're lucky enough to have Kevin, and I'll let Kevin introduce himself.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. This is my second or third podcast I've been on, and it's always fun, like getting in, like kind of rolling with the punches and seeing how these conversations go. But my name's
Yeah.
Kevin. I am the CEO, kind of founder of PurpleCow Brands. So we do like web design, so creative UX UI design, storytelling, like deep copywriting, story branding type of stuff, and then we do SEO, search engine optimization, and we love it. Our goal is to be like the Buc-ee's of web design in Texas. So we want to have the billboards, the funny billboards with our purple cow here. We're very Pixar-like in our style and our vibe. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me. I guess I'm from Oregon originally, and now I live in Texas,
Okay.
and I love it. Been here for
Wow.
4 years, and it's been a fun journey starting at Purple Cow with my business partner who I went to high school with actually, and we both lived in Oregon and somehow ended up here starting
Oh,
a business
wow.
together. So yeah, it's been a lot of
Very
fun.
cool.
That is awesome. So first of all, I love the name Purple Cow, but we start off with a question with all of our guests, and we don't share this in the pre-show convo, but it's going to catch you off guard maybe, but what's your favorite thing to eat for breakfast?
Ooh, I'm actually not a breakfast person, but if I had to choose, probably French toast. Mainly
Mm.
because when you go to like a breakfast restaurant, it's always like $25 for food, and you're like, I can make this at
Yes.
home for $1.
Yep.
It's so true. You're paying for the
It's like,
convenience more than the food.
yeah, because you can go to, when I go to like a burger place like Ford's Garage down the street,
Yeah.
it's meat and meat's expensive, but it's like I could make a pancake for literally like a quarter.
Uh-huh.
But I'm here paying for it. So yeah,
Yeah.
breakfast is not my favorite, but joke's on me because it's my wife's absolute favorite meal of the day, breakfast.
Really?
So
What does she like to
What's
eat?
what's her favorite breakfast food?
that she actually likes pancakes. Pancakes are her number
Okay.
one favorite
Really?
food.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
They
it's
are
like jokes on
good.
me because yeah, when we go to breakfast, like to a brunch place, she always order pancakes, and I'm like, these are so cheap to make at home.
But it's not about that, right? It's about the
Right.
experience.
Yes. It's
That's so
about
funny.
going on a date. It's about connecting. It's all the experience. Exactly.
Of
Right.
course. Yeah.
It's also about the
Awesome.
money though, right?
I know.
A little
Yeah.
bit. A little bit. A little
Uh-huh.
bit.
Every now
So
and then it's good.
yeah, so I have the luxury of understanding what UX UI means, as well as
hmm
Catherine does. We have deep roots in that space. But if you, I always struggle with this question when people ask me what I do for a living. And I always dance around it. It's always a tap dance because it's very hard because it's such a nuance what I do. So, how do you describe what you do for a living to people, like, without having them glaze over?
Yeah, it's such a funny thing because when we're working on our sales pitch and we're out networking, that's one of the things we've learned is there's sort of the ego side of I want to say I'm a UX UI designer, right? I want to say I'm
Yeah.
a creative copywriter. I want to say I have a degree in product management, but no one really cares at the end of the day. What they care about is the fact that I'm a web designer at the end of the day. We design
Mhm.
websites, we design applications, and that's really what we do. And so one of the kind of philosophies I have with all my employees is I always say, hey, when you're writing emails, when you're sending text messages, when you're talking to people on the phone, when you're writing copy on a website, you need to speak in like a fifth grade level language all the time. And if you're speaking above that, saying things like UX, UI, or SEO, or talking about backlinks or something, most people are going to gloss over that pretty immediately. And so I'm always
Right.
like, okay, at a 5th grade level, what would I say to somebody in my day-to-day life? People know what a website is and they know what web design is and they can understand that. So I usually just tell people, hey, we're a super creative web design agency and we're just obsessed with websites.
It's a good way to put it because Catherine, you'll have to use that at some point for your own introduction. So talk to us about, first of all, I saw your Purple Cow and I'm like, what a cool name. So what led you to Purple Cow? Like, just out of curiosity, how did you come up with that and why?
And the icon.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a story with that. So when I was in community college, like 10 plus years ago, I had an obsession with Pixar and I wanted to go and become like a creative animator, right? And I thought it would be so fun to do that and go work for Disney. Well, then a little bit of like life happens and a little bit of learning, a little bit of experience. You realize
Yeah.
Disney's just a big corporation. I don't really want to work at a big corporation. That's not my
Yeah.
vibe. And so but I've always had a heart for Pixar. Like I was a fan of like Chevron cars, if you remember from the Chevron gas station. And
Mm-hmm.
so when the movie Cars came out, I knew like 7 years before that, when I was like 10, that movie was coming out. I was obsessed with it. Um, and so I always knew like I was a Pixar like storyteller type of individual. That was my heart behind things, but I never pursued the copywriting side because I everyone told me there's no jobs in that field. So I just kind of left it alone and I just created right on Facebook or whatever and have these really compelling thoughts about things. But then fast forward, we moved to Texas and there was a kind of a interesting eclectic guy named Rob who lives at Farmers Branch who had started this company called PurpleCow Brands. And he was kind of that old school, like he's just like always trying to get a rise out of people in his sales pitch. Like do something crazy, like hold up a giant banner at a sales pitch where he talks about Purple Cow brands or whatever. But I would say they were trying to cater to like the least of these in their approach.
Mm.
And the approach for me was I want to be super creative. I want to build some of the best websites in Texas, if not the best websites. I want to be in the top 5 to 10% of web design agencies over the next 10 years. But Rob had this company. It was really small, maybe doing like 1,000, 2,000 bucks a month, something like that. And I kind of saw an opportunity. It was weird because it was so small, but it was so well known. The name was Purple Cow.
Hmm.
And the story behind why Rob used that was it was from a book that was about standing out in a field. And like if you saw a purple cow while you were driving down the street, like that would stand out, right? And
Oh,
most
that's cool.
Mhm.
businesses don't stand out. They're not remarkable. They're not interesting. They don't have a great sales pitch. They don't have a unique set apart. And so we really wanted to change the game. So I kind of fell in love with the name through that process. And he had this funny little logo that was 2D and was super pixelated. It was a picture of a cow with like some sunglasses on. And I was like, this is not me. This is like not creative, like defined enough. And I was like, man, I really want like a Pixar level type of thing. So I took an AI and I started generating ideas and just thinking through like what I want this to look like and just prompting different things. And this was right when ChatGPT first came out. And I came up with something pretty similar to this. Not exactly this, but pretty close. And then I hired a really gifted, talented graphic designer, a friend of mine, to kind of bring it to life for me after I had prompted a few ideas. And that's kind of how it came to be. So we're just about standing out in a field of people. And as you design websites, so like number one thing I get to do for people is I want to help them tell their story. I want to figure out why they started their business. I want to know where they came from because clients care about that stuff. And then I want to know their process and I want to help them define their process in a 1 step, 2 step, 3 step type of thing. And I want to just help them create such good product that people can't help but go to them for their construction needs or for their counseling needs or for their therapy or for whatever their thing is. So, yeah.
It's a great story. I love that.
Yeah.
Because
I,
if you saw a purple cow in the field, I mean, you would definitely notice.
Yeah, you would.
absolutely, absolutely,
I've
and
had the
I
thought
love.
before. Sorry, Drew. I've had the thought before. Like when you come up with a business and a logo, what is the anti-brand? And it's coming up with this wacky
Mhm.
logo idea that sticks in people's minds because It's so different. It's not your typical mainstream. Hey, let's create this logo, and it really needs to look polished and da 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 da. With certain colors. So I love different. Different is attracts people. So that's a very cool story. Sorry, Jerry, you can go ahead.
No, no, I was just gonna say, to yes and what you're saying around I love how you just built that up, creating the origin story. I don't know why that I keep saying that over
That's
multiple
because you love an
podcasts, but
origin story.
I do. I feel like everyone loves an origin story, and why not connect that to a brand, right?
Oh
Like, how
yeah.
did we get here? Kind of what's the secret sauce? What made you
Hmm.
put on the cape to become the hero, or what made you put on the mask to become the villain? So I love that you create that experience. So that's really interesting, and I find fascinating. Um,
Yeah,
so go ahead.
I love the sort of the curious, like I'm a very like curious person naturally, which I think is what
Mm.
makes me such a good copywriter and designer. Is I'm just a very curious person, and as I started kind of building up this business, that was one of the things that kind of came to life for me. Was I just realized like I love telling stories, and I love getting to the heart of other people's stories. And most people have no idea that somebody had 3 careers or that somebody grew up in another country.
Mm.
You even think of like just as an example, like Elon Musk or whatever, like he's from Africa. You wouldn't even like most people don't realize that, but it's like, oh, that's such
Right.
an interesting thing that he's from somewhere else. And most of us have grown up with people who fought in wars and people who lived in different countries, different states, different cities, and we never even ask those questions.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think it can create such a connection with people. Like most small business owners, they care a lot. They care deeply. And for some reason, they don't want to talk about that. And I try to encourage people like, hey, let's like that's a part of why people will choose you. Like it's why you have integrity. It's why you're honest, right? Or is the origin story of you. So
I
yeah.
love that. Recently I have an art Instagram, and it's for all the art that I do, kind of my creative outlet. And I had been scheduling a lot of posts through a tool of things from my life. So, jobs I used to have or things that I had created creatively. And it's amazing to see people post and say, "Oh, wow, I never knew you did that." Or I never
Hmm.
knew that, you lived there. So it's funny that you're bringing that up because I feel like we, as individuals, we have so much in our lives that I know it sounds silly, but like is content worthy, to learn about people. It's not just you see someone and you're like, oh, that's the guy that works there, or, oh, he likes this, but we have so much complexity to us. And I think people forget that, kind of to your point. So it's awesome to be able to have someone who can tell the story or help you tell your story because everybody has one.
Yeah, I agree very much so. I think like it creates loyalty too when you know people's backstories.
Mm.
Like you can connect with them deeply, and so then it's like such an interesting thing when I've noticed that even with some of our clients, we're talking about 5 years from now what we're going to do for their business and stuff, and it's because I don't know, we have this connection with each other where it's like I trust you, you trust me because we know, who we are. And that's something
Right.
we've been really trying to change about businesses. We want to be like excellent, like a Bucky's level of excellence, but
Mm-hmm.
also be deeply thoughtful and connected with one another as we build something successful for people. And it's I think it's a unique set apart for us and we really enjoy it. So
Does your product background, I'm sure, plays a huge part in your business? So, how did you decide that you were just going to focus on websites?
oh. Oh, that's a good question. It's actually funny. So I was in architecture for like 8 years.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
Um,
wow.
yeah, and I became
That's
a like
related.
a man. Yeah, it's related, I suppose. But I was a director of architecture and design, and I was doing 3D modeling in the space. And I think I grew up in a trades family, and so it's like kind of funny, but you kind of end up where you start to realize as you get older, like a lot of the things you pursue, like enjoy, things that you love, are actually just the people around you love those
Yes.
things, and you haven't yet created your own identity in what it is
Mhm.
that you like. It can be clouded by bad past experiences, family life, whatever, just not feeling heard enough. And so then as you get older, you start to sort of realize those things. And I had sort of an identity crisis and had to go to therapy. But it was about then I realized this is not my field. This is not for me. I don't enjoy it. And I've
Mhm.
always enjoyed web design. So I decided I'm gonna take a leap of faith and I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna go out here and do this with my best friend Ben. And we jumped in kind of full steam ahead. Probably 2 years prior, we were working up to it, kind of trying to figure out, do we design apps? We started doing a SaaS app for a while. Then we decided, do we sell apps or do we build apps for other people? Are we a dev company? Like we went through all those kind of things to figure out our story. And even when we bought Purple Cow, we then struggled with the identity of Rob, the previous owner, right? Of
Mm.
like, what is that our identity? Is that his identity and how the business is run? And that had to shift over a bit of time. And I would say about 9 months in, so probably last August, like quitting my job and being in it full time, I had lost like the direction. We were doing ads, we were doing email campaigns, we were doing
Oh, wow.
everything
Yeah.
related to marketing. And I was like, man, I am not doing any of these well.
Mm.
Like I'm just
Yeah.
overwhelmed and I'm not an expert at any one of these things. And it's really frustrating. And I went to Ben and we talked through it a bit. Both of us had been feeling this of like, we're techie people. So technically we could do anything, but what
Right.
is it that we want? And I had remembered, a couple years prior, like, I was like, man, I really want to build websites and I want to tell people stories. And we sat down and said, we got to get back to this. And so
Mhm.
we stripped away everything else. We told all of our clients, I'm sorry if we sold you something. X, Y, and Z. We're not going to offer that anymore. Do you want this new service? And we just started trudging in this direction. And rapidly, our designs got like 10x better, like rapidly.
Mm.
Like not overnight, but like what you saw from like 30 days prior, instantly better. 60 days prior, 10x better than that. 90 days prior, just got like just evolved rapidly. So I'd say we're one of the best web design agencies around DFW for sure. Certainly at a small scale, and we're not even close to done learning and growing in that space, but we just wanted to be known for something. And I felt like if you're known for everything, you're known for nothing.
Mm.
And I just really wanted to be known for something. And I
Right.
said, hey, what if we get known for websites and just build amazing websites, tell super cool stories? The heart for me is copywriting, storytelling. I love UX UI design and I want to just get really good at that. And so we're always evolving, which is kind of fun. It's stressful too, but we're always iterating. So who we are 90 days ago will be very different than we are 90 days from now. And we're
Mhm.
really committed to that, just constantly evolving for the better, not just for change sake, obviously. But yeah, I think that's really what kind of honed us into websites is we just realized we weren't known for anything, and that kind of sucked. So
Yeah. It is kind of nice to hone in on one thing, the
hmm
simplicity of it, and say, this is what we do. And there's really no, going back to the pitch, there's not a lot you have to say besides, we're really great at website design, which is awesome.
hmm
So then people equate Purple Cow brands with great website design. So that was probably very smart. I know for myself, trying to do a lot of different things at once, sometimes it is overwhelming. So then you have to kind of reevaluate and reprioritize, which is a good thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you've mentioned this twice, so I want to kind of pull on the thread, and it's what's it like being in business with a friend? Would you recommend
Uh,
that?
um, man, it's kind of funny. I would say so. Ben moved to Texas. I've always been an entrepreneur. Like, it's just always been my mindset since I was like 16, 15.
Mhm.
I was buying and selling ATVs on Craigslist at one point when I was a kid. I was had all this money going through my account. I may or may not have paid taxes on when I was 15. Uh, and it was kind of funny because I moved here and I was running in my architecture business. And then Ben like just got really burned out of his job doing mechanical engineering. He was working for Northrop Grumman, which is a massive corporation. And he had sort of that same dream that I had with Disney, which was like, I'm gonna go build rockets and it's gonna be
Mm.
amazing. And then he realized this is a giant corporation and I'm a cog in a wheel and no one cares whether I live or die. And I hate
Yeah.
that feeling.
Right.
And so he stressed me out. He moved to Texas and just like quit his job and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna like run a business with you." And I was like, I don't have like a bunch of work for you. And so that's really, both of us were so immature 4 or 5 years ago when we started kind of down this path. And so we argued and we fought so much and we tried to get each other to sign contracts. He's a very
Ah,
analytical guy.
that's
I'm a
funny.
very creative guy. So I was like, I'm not signing a contract. I don't even know how to read a contract. I'm just creative. And he's over here spreadsheet, dotting his I's, crossing his T's. But I don't I don't even know how to describe it, but it evolved over time. And now our relationship is honestly incredible. Both of us know each other well and we know how to communicate with each other well. We know how to talk about the hard things. Both of us are both Christians, so that we have that in common, which is nice.
Yes.
And I think it makes it easy when you both have a lot of the similar worldviews and life views about things,
Oh
because
yeah.
really no subject is off limits. And I think that's what kills a lot of business partnerships, is when a subject feels off limits, then you're kind of hiding a part of who you are, and neither of us ever have that feeling. And that's been such a great place to be together. So it's so unique for us, because I would say it is the best thing ever, because we just work so well together. Like we have tiffs like anyone does, but they're more just like stress tiffs. They're not actual like we're gonna disband the business and walk away from each other tiffs. Nothing like that. I'm very blessed in this relationship. So
That's so good.
yeah.
That is so good. That's it's funny. Catherine and I are in business together, so pe- we get asked that question, and I never even think about it. I'm not like, it's just kind of natural. It just felt very natural for us. So I'm always curious how other
Hmm.
people that have a past together, how they work well together. So
Right.
it's always something of interest. So website design. What's one mistake you see over and over and over again in the industry when people, so I've designed a ton of websites. I'm the worst website designer, right? I'm a hack. I just put things on a page. I don't understand how to format the content, make it consistent, cohesive. So what do you
Hmm.
see in the industry from small creators or even corporations that is a constant mistake and a pattern in the industry?
Mm, that's a good question. That's a deep question too, because it's the patterns are wide and broad, and they depend on whether you're in corporate or whether you're like a freelancer type. I would say
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of on the corporate side, there's a lot of waste. Like, let's talk about SEO, for instance. I have the belief, and I hold firmly to this, which is why I hire in-house only, which is that web design and getting ranked on Google and writing incredible copy are the same thing. They're not different. They're not different fields. They're all the same thing. And they work together to build a website. Like, you can't have a great website without good copy. You can't rank
Right.
on Google without keywords, and you're not going to rank very well on Google or have, great copy just by itself without a good design, right? Like, it all works together. And most of the industry treat all these things very separately. There's a guy that fills out a bunch of spreadsheets and then passes it over to a designer. There's maybe a person who writes a bunch of copy filled, keyword filled copy. And it gets so muddied down because they're not working together as a cohesive team. And so I have really struggled with that, even just hiring people, because people come to me with that idea that they're gonna work separately and they're gonna do like their own copyright and they're gonna pass it to a designer. And a designer
Right.
thinks, well, I'm gonna just design stuff and I'm gonna pass it off to a copywriter. And a keyword guy thinks he's gonna research a bunch and put it in spreadsheets and then have no responsibility to implement any of it. Um, and I think that's a mistake, I think, across the industry, because I think the best designs are built together. Like, collaboration is what makes things amazing. I am a good web designer. I'm an incredible web designer with another web designer. If we're
Mm.
together, we're gonna break silos. We're gonna break things apart. We're gonna argue or have little tiffs about like this little corner radius or that thing, and then the best design comes at the end of it, right? Like, if you look at Pixar, no movie from Pixar is designed by one individual, but for some reason, web design is like, you hire a web designer, and it could be a guy who's a developer. It could be a guy who's a creative person. It could be a dude who's a copywriter, and we're all just saying we're web designers. And so the product is vastly different. Um, and I guess like one of the biggest mistakes I would say too is people do not give weight to web design because you can go to Wix.com and create a website, right? And that's
True.
cool, or Squarespace or WordPress, and that's cool. But it's like if you don't understand the principles of design, if you don't understand how these things work together, if you don't understand user journeys, buyer profiles, and how people are going to experience this, if you don't know how to tell that story in a way that resonates with the target audience, like it doesn't work. And so many people are paying for either bad design or they're designing themselves because they think it's easy, and it's really not easy to do a good job. Anyone can put an engine in a car. Not anyone can do it successfully or make it a really good car, or make it reliable, right? I mean, it's anyone
That
can do
is
it
true.
technically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
I
It's
being my background's in UX, started out in graphic design, and I see one of the things that I see is that, but I also
Hmm.
see really poor architecture,
Hmm.
navigation.
Hmm.
Um, and you probably have seen similar things where people put pages and like menu navigation that does not make sense. And they'll have pages for stuff they don't need pages for. When I worked at a corporation, logistics corporation, a lot of my work was on their website, and it was amazing to see how many old archived pages were still floating out there. So you could search for it, the page on Google, and it would pull up, but it would have no real good information on it, or it was outdated by 5 years. So it is crazy to think about the internet as kind of a wasteland of stuff that is, it's kind
Yeah.
of like Jira, or what's the other one that's just the pages. Do you remember, Drew?
Confluence.
Confluence. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
people at companies are
Yes.
always like, "Oh, we need a Confluence page for that. We need and there will be like a million Confluence pages that no one ever goes to ever again." So, yeah, I find it interesting though. You brought up the point about good design. So I'm on the board for AIGA Dallas, and it's a lot of professional designers, creatives, things like that. And it really is interesting to see someone be able to design a website. And I would probably put myself in this category where, you might have great navigation, you might have a nice landing page, good content, but there is a difference between someone that is a true designer that knows the design principles and how to create something really intentionally visually appealing, and there's a purpose for it and a reason why they
Hmm.
select certain elements to go on a page. They've given it a lot of thought. Just last night, I had a designer present a couple of website concepts, and I was like, wow, this is so well thought through. And a lot of people that are not in the design world or in UX or UI, they don't get that. They don't understand it, but they know that something will look good, versus something that looks okay,
Hmm.
but I wish that, and I hear this a lot, I wish we could socialize that more, that there are things you can create stuff on AI, Chat GPT, you can create your own website on Wix or Squarespace, but having someone actually, like a true designer, design something is a totally different animal than something that you just kind of hack through. So I do see that a lot. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we're actually, just because you brought this up, we're actually redoing a website right now for somebody where the web architecture itself is a mess. Like it was
Yeah.
built in house by this lady who was very passionate about their nonprofit, and
Yeah.
the nonprofit's grown and it's got like 70 pages. And I had to go in, and it was hard. It was hard to sit
I
there in
bet.
Figma, and we were just like, okay, here's all these pages. What are these pages saying? What is relevant? What is just
Yes.
duplicate information? What's hidden in a menu? Like I couldn't find the contact us page because it was hidden in a menu.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the kind of stuff where you're just like, what do you do with this? And yeah, so that's pretty common. And then designers designing to design is a very common one because they don't get the principles behind it.
Right.
They don't know what hierarchy is or flow or any of
So
those types of
true.
things.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
that's very true. And I bet your background in architecture, that's why I was like, oh, I bet, architecture, product, all these things play into what you do right now. They all,
Mhm.
they all assist you in creating a good website. Oh, so I have to go back to the ATVs because I read that you were published, right, for
Mm,
creating an ATV. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
I forgot about that. That's funny that you brought that up. Yeah, so when I was in high school, so I grew up in rural outside of Portland, Oregon, in a place called
Okay.
Malala, right? So it was very much farm town, and everybody was, had little tractors, and it's like California. They're more like left leaning, and I don't say this derogatory at all, but more like healthy. Like they all have like hobby farms. Everybody
Yeah.
has a couple acres, and they maybe an acre, and they have a little hobby farm. And so I was like, well, it's really expensive to buy a tractor. At least it was at the time, for sure. And there wasn't a lot of small tractor options. And I thought, well, lots of people have an ATV. So I came up with this idea of putting like a front end loader, like you would have
Uh-huh.
on a tractor, on an
Right.
ATV. 'Cause I was like, "Well, I bet we could beef this up and, it could probably lift, at least a wheelbarrow full and be something you could use on your hobby farm." And so I got to work, with my brother, and we started, like, building this thing out and welding it up, and it came to life. It was kinda never really went anywhere, but it was cool to build them. We actually sold, like, 2 or 3 of them.
Really? Oh,
It
that's
was just kind of
Wow.
awesome.
yeah, it was a fun experiment. That was my first, time that I got to be in business with a business partner, and it was not a great experience. The guy was,
Oh
he
no.
was, like, 50, and he in my opinion, he took advantage of 2 15-year-olds, like, from a business perspective, because we didn't know
Yeah.
anything. And so he ended up taking the business, and we just kinda gave it to him, and it never really went anywhere anyway, so it was what it was, but it was a fun experience as a kid to, like, "Oh, yeah, I did that thing. I forgot about that."
Yes. Oh, that's so funny that you just said that. I did that thing. We just talked to somebody um, who said he had created a film,
Mhm,
and they wrote it and directed it. Joe, he's one of our other guests, and he was like, "It was nice to say I did a thing." And I completed a project. I completed it. And it was just,
mhm,
it's funny because a lot of people have ideas, but actually executing, I feel like it takes something a little bit more to actually execute on the idea. So that's awesome that you were able to do that.
So, if we continue down the website path, I don't know a lot about ATVs, so I can't really add a lot of context there, but I find it
That's okay.
fascinating. But so, you mentioned, always wanting to be an entrepreneur, which it's interesting that you go into the web business, right? So, web design, being
Mhm,
a creative. Sometimes you don't think of entrepreneurship as a creative. So, which I find to be not a good stereotype or not a good correlation because I feel like creatives are
mhm,
are extremely entrepreneurial, but that's not my question. How how do you understand good CEO, SEO? Like, what
mm.
strategy do you pull from? Because I feel like it's a vast wasteland of words. But really, what defines a good SEO strategy to help get your stuff in front of the right people?
Mm. Yeah, it's so funny because when we started a year ago, we hired like our first SEO person, and I was trying to learn all about SEO. I knew a little bit about what it was, but it was like this smoke and mirrors type of thing where no one could. It's kind of like if you just said UX UI to some random Joe Blow who's never heard of the term. Like I couldn't, I couldn't get anyone to give me a straight answer about what it was. And I'm a techie person. Like I know I'm a creative. I've been around tech since I was a kid. I was, putting Linux on laptops when I was young. Like, I've always been into this stuff. And I was like, why? Like, is it really this complicated? Like, maybe it is. And so I kept just asking more and more questions and going deeper and deeper. And what I found was sort of that designing to design. a lot of people like to get data just to have data, to sort of, I don't know, feel good about what they're doing. But really, SEO is pretty simple. You need to get your website to rank on Google. So when somebody searches on Google for web design in Dallas, your website shows up. Like, that's the name of the game. It's not that hard to understand once you really boil it down. So we're going to take a keyword that somebody searches on Google, like web design in Dallas, and we're going to insert that in the copy of your website. And we're going to follow a certain structure that Google respects, so that when it
Mm.
crawls like the code of your website, um, it's hold on 1 second. My computer's doing something weird. There we go. Uh, when it crawls the code of your website, it can go and read this information. It finds those keywords, but then the thing that makes it really rank well is having good design and good copy. So once Google gets there, and once Google sees those terms that, like, this is a page people are searching for, then it's going to read it and it's going to learn about it, and it's going to ask, is this good information? Is this the type of things people are looking for? Does this inform a buyer about this product or service? And then it decides to elevate you up the webs up Google. Basically, that's kind of how it works. It's not crazy complicated. So when people ask me, like, what's a good strategy, I'm like, honestly, really good creative that is purposeful, really good design. It is really good copywriting that is story driven, that answers good questions, that talks about a service at a fifth grade level in a way people can understand it, and then that has keywords implemented and good structure throughout the website. And I think that is the strategy. I mean, it's not crazy hard to do. It's just, it's hard in the sense of, like, you got to get a team together, and you got to design well, and you got to write well, and you've got to do good research based on all those things. And I think that's what people are doing really poorly. Is a lot of companies, SEO companies, don't own the website. They just, like, write copy and put some keywords in it, and they pass it off. And I think that just kills the um, kind of just kills the effort, and it just doesn't go anywhere. That's why I think why so many people have issues getting websites to rank. So
It's a good way to put it, and I like how you define kind of the hard work that goes into it to build up that that information to hit the SEO differently than just putting a bunch of crap like word salad in there. So
mhm.
that's that kind of leads me to, and I don't know about anyone else, but I have AI fatigue. I feel like everything I touch, I'm getting fed some AI story, or it's like a new fear is unlocked around AI for me all the time. So, how do you see AI either impacting, disrupting, complementing, all the above? How are you utilizing it to stay relevant, but also not have you work yourself out of a job?
Mm. This is a tough question without sounding like I'm obsessed with AI, like everyone else. Like, I'm a boomer who's, like, just stoked about AI and doesn't really know anything about it, but I use ChatGPT. I, I hate talking about AI because of that. We use it for, like, deep research, when we're, like, writing
Mm.
copy and trying to understand what to write about. It is amazing for deep research. I have custom written AI prompts that I've built that actually take a bunch of copy that I've written, and then it has a kind of I have a discovery document where I spend like an hour and a half to 2 hours with a client, and I fill in this discovery document just asking the really thoughtful questions so I can get their voice. And then it spits out, like, it can literally, while you're designing in Figma or Framer, you can literally write copy at the same time, which influences your design. And so that's how
Mm.
we use it, like, heavily. Is we want to write really, really good copy in the owner's voice and kind of guide it in that way. And we found we love AI. We use it all the time, but um, I don't know what the future holds with it. I don't know if I'm going to
Mhm.
work myself out of a job. I can't speak. Like, my business partner and I are talking about it all the time. Next quarter, our whole goal is to get our team to use AI more, like, to teach them not to replace themselves, but we want to do better work, more thoughtful work, tell better stories, create better designs. And that is our framework for when we use any tool, whether it's AI, whether it's Framer, whether it's Figma, whatever the tools are. That's kind of the way that we use it. But I do have concerns for people who are doing a lot of Just manual work, I guess. Like a lot of people like think about Microsoft Word, right, or Excel or Google Sheets, those types of things. I think all those things are going to go away rather rapidly because AI, you can
Mm,
prompt it to build you a spreadsheet. You can prompt
right.
it to figure out formulas. You can prompt it to lay out a document in a creative way that's structured. Like it's amazing what you can do with it. And I think I have some concerns, not so much I think creatives are going this is just my personal opinion as a creative who's definitely not biased. Um, I think that creatives are probably the future of a lot of this stuff right now. I think that for the longest time, you've needed developers, you've needed a lot of people to do the work, like just the actual work itself, the back end stuff. And I think we're moving into a world where if you are a super creative person with a vision and you can prompt it well enough, you can define it well enough, you can use these tools to your advantage. I think there's a world where creatives are sort of the lead on things, and the devs actually take more of a backseat where they're there to support you. They're there to look at your prompt and say, "This prompt is really poorly written. We could write it better so it doesn't suck out so much data," right? I think there's a lot of that that's gonna happen. But, I don't know, there's a lot of fear mongering, and I think every year, I think back to, like, the 1930s when washer and dryers came out and people said,
Yep.
"What are we gonna do if we're not
Yes.
putting our laundry on a hanger?" Or, "What are we gonna do if we drive cars and we don't have horses anymore?" Or whatever, like, there's always a new fear unlocked and always this idea of a utopia, and I don't wanna be someone who, like, has my head in the sand to say those things can't happen, but I also feel like there's all we can do is do what we can do, right? And do it
Hmm.
well. And if
Right.
that day comes, then we'll have to figure out what to do when that day comes. But I think for now, I think people should embrace AI. I think people should use it to do better work, to become better designers, to become better writers, to become better SEO people or whatever your job is, better project managers. Um, and I think you'll do well to do that. That's my opinion. So, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I appreciate that
I'm definitely of the
opinion
same mind.
because I yeah, we are heavy AI users as well. To my detriment,
Yes.
my job was replaced by AI, so I definitely felt that as a product
Mm.
professional as well. It was interesting that rolling out AI, they decided to use AI to write all the user stories. So user stories were created in AI and they were able to develop test cases from those user stories and then code from I was like, wow, it's a fully automated development house now. But, so I
Pros
basically
and cons.
worked myself yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I feel like and it's funny, Catherine hears me talk to my chat GPT. I'm always nice to my chat GPT. I have conversations with it because
Same.
I don't ever want to piss it off, right? Like I don't want to piss off, and my chat GPT is named G. I don't ever want to piss off G because literally I don't want it going after me or giving me bad info or just basically giving me a hard time. So I try and be very nice to my artificial intelligence so we can continue to have a good relationship together.
Yeah.
So
They'll
I
think
do
of you at
appreciate
the end.
yes, exactly. As they'll spare my life or at least put me in some sort of service or something. Who knows?
That's right.
Who knows? So I do appreciate the partnership aspect of utilizing AI, and I really never thought about it from a creative perspective that that creatives could be a leader in that space. So that's a
Mhm.
interesting angle that I think I really appreciate that point of view, and I think more people would appreciate that point of view as well to kind of tone down some of the replacement theory, right? Like
Yeah.
AI to me it's a tool and it all depends
Enhancement.
on how
It
you utilize it.
enhances
Yeah,
tools. Yeah. I
absolutely.
want to pivot away from work for a minute
Mm.
and
Okay.
talk about what you and your wife enjoy doing together outside of work.
Mm. Well, we're, they say opposites attract, because we're pretty opposite. She loves to hike and, like, travel, and I'm like, that's expensive. We should stay home, and I should work myself to death because one day I'm gonna be a millionaire or whatever." Um, and but, she gets me out of my comfort zone to travel a bit more than I think I would. Like, I grew up in a we weren't poor, but my parents definitely lived paycheck to paycheck most of our lives.
Hmm.
So I kind of, and then she grew up in a family where her dad worked at Nike. and was an IT architect. So
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
opposite ends, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
big 5,000 square foot house, and my parents can barely afford their mortgage. Kind of.
Yeah.
um, I remember when we were dating, we went to Columbia Sportswear, and her dad dropped like $500, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, and so then we got in an argument on the way home because I was like, "I can't afford that. Like, if you
That's
think
so
we're
much
gonna when we get
money.
married, like I don't know what you think you got here, but I can't do that."
Oh, that's
Um,
funny.
but yeah, we love to travel. I think we both love to go out to dinner to new places and try new things. I love going to small towns, and so does she. Like in just like the downtown strips. We've
Yes.
kind of figured
Yeah.
out some common ground there because I love big city life. I was like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm definitely going to be in a big city.
Uh-huh.
And she's more like, I don't really like the big city. I want a quiet life. But we figured out how to like go to small towns. We love going to downtown Louisville, and we love going to coffee
Mhm.
shops together. And we both play music. She plays piano, and I play guitar.
Oh, wow.
That's
And
cool.
so, yeah, we can do some worship together. We should do more of that, but we haven't done as much as we want to. But yeah, it's yeah, I think traveling around like road trips. We love road trips. That's been a really fun thing. So
Favorite place? Do you have a favorite place you've gone?
honestly, Oregon, where I'm from, is probably one of
Really?
my favorite places. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's we moved away because it's so like heavily like identity politics all the time, and it's
Mhm.
like I just don't care about politics. It's just not something I care to care about. That like
Yeah.
I talked about
Smart.
AI. I think we're all of a similar mindset
Right.
that
Oh, yeah.
fear mongering yourself to death can make you feel like it's the end of the world for the rest of your life, and you just
Mhm.
Yes.
can't enjoy anything. So we moved away kind of because of some of that, and a lot of my architecture work was here. And then going back though, I mean, it's one of the only places you can go to where you can travel in an hour and a half in any direction. You can get to the ocean, you can get to
Mm.
the mountains and go snowboarding, you can go to the desert,
Oh.
and you can
Uh-huh.
have like sunny weather. You can go out to Bend, Oregon, like 3 hours away, and it's like mountains and beautiful and sunny like 300 days a year. And there's rock climbing and there's hiking and there's biking and swimming and like all the things you can think of. It's one of the most interesting places because of that. So I would say it's probably one of my top favorite places to go back to is Oregon because it's so pretty there. So
Nice.
So, speaking of that, how do you like the Texas heat?
it's not the heat that'll kill you, it's the humidity. No. No, it's terrible. I I
It is.
I like it I like it more than the cold, I think.
Mhm.
I'm pretty confident about
Same.
that. Like, when I was, growing up in Oregon, like, your hands would get so cold, like, almost like arthritis feeling, and you would just, like
Yes.
you hit your hand on something, and it would bleed, and then hours later, you would kinda start to feel it, you know?
Uh-huh.
Um, and I don't miss that. I don't miss the cold, dreary, dark, all the time weather that was there in the Northwest.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I would choose the summer over the winter anytime.
Do you
So
snowboard?
I used to, yeah. Used to do it a lot.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So that Andrew is a big snowboarder.
Yeah,
We
so
have
I
definitely
picked a
done
good
that.
place to live, Texas. Yeah, it's great for my snowboarding habit, I have to say. It's really helped me improve. But, so,
Do
y
do you travel
go
down to,
ahead.
like, Colorado for snowboarding?
Yeah, 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 we drive
Nice.
out there. So, we go every year. This will be the first year we don't go, so I'll miss it, but
Okay.
just not in the cards this year. But yeah, I've been snowboarding 20 plus years. So I'm from originally from the East Coast, and once you learn how to like ski or snowboard on the East Coast, you can go anywhere in the world because
Mhm.
it's treacherous on the East Coast. It's like ice coast. So I when I first got to the West and I was snowboarding, I'm like, it's so quiet. I'm used to, like, carving ice, like, and I don't hear any of that, but any case. So,
Mm,
we also transplanted. We're not Texan natives. So, what
Mhm.
was like, when did you first realize, or you and your wife first realize you were in Texas? Like, "Oh, wow, I'm in Texas. This is Texas."
that's a good question. Like, sort of the excitement or just like, "Oh, what am I doing here?" Or like
Or
Maybe
kinda
a
both?
like a landmark,
Okay.
something that popped out at you
Mm,
visually or a sound bite, like your first cowboy hat. I'll tell you my story. I realized I
mm,
was in Texas. I went to a car show, and it was an indoor car show. And there was this guy, he was probably 75, 80 years old. He had the biggest belt buckle I've ever seen, a big
Okay.
cowboy hat, and he had 3 guns strapped to him. So I was like, that's
That's
Texas.
awesome.
I am in Texas. And
I
I was like,
forgot
why do
about
we need
that.
all
Yeah.
this firepower at an indoor car show? What am I missing? But that's when I knew that I was in Texas.
Okay. Yeah, we like 2 years ago, we went to Grandscapes, 3 years ago maybe,
Mhm.
and there was what they called Texas Day, which they were celebrating like the birthday of Texas. I don't remember what exactly that meant. Like maybe it's independence from Mexico or something. And we go to this event, and there were these armadillo races, and they were
Oh,
Oh my
they were
wow.
God.
yeah. Then
Uh,
you would go and sit behind the armadillos, and you would blow on their tail, and it would cause them to run across the little racetrack they had made. And then if you won, you got armadillo's milk, and it was a little can. It's called armadillo's milk. I'm not even sure if it's real.
oh, that's
Um,
funny. I
and
never
I was like,
heard of that.
yeah, and then the whole time we were walking around Grandscapes, which Grandscapes for people that aren't from here is like a big, it's like a big strip mall place where they do events in the center of it. Um, and they had like the same 7 songs playing over and over, which was "All My Exes Live in Texas," "Deep in the Heart of Texas," and it was like on loop the whole time you were there, and you're just like, but you're getting like that Texas spirit, like yeah, Texas, the spirit of everyone around you. Everyone's like, yeah, it's Texas, and people are wearing cowboy hats, and then there's armadillo races. It's so funny, and there's kids everywhere. Yeah,
That's
it was pretty
hilarious.
hilarious. That was when I was like,
Arm
yep, this is Texas.
Yeah, that's a memorable moment right there.
Wow. Yeah. I like your story better than mine. Armadillo
Yeah.
races. I have yet to experience, and we've been to Grandscape quite a bit, and I've never
That's
seen that. So now
hilarious.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna look that up because I am dying to see an armadillo race. I did find it interesting when we were at Grandscape, they have that like surfing park now where you can like surf.
Have you
I
seen
was like,
that?
I've heard about it. I haven't actually seen it. I live like 5 minutes from it, but I've heard about the surf park.
yeah, it's pretty wild. I'm like,
It's
wow,
cool.
they really
People are
can
on
do
their
anything in
surfboards and
Texas.
you have like it's like a restaurant. So all these people are watching you.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
they have all these tables outside. So people are sitting and eating and being entertained by you washing out on the
Yeah.
surfboard.
Yeah.
And I think they do them in timed slots. So they'll
Hmm.
bring out like a small group of people in their wetsuits. There's like 5 or 6 of them, and then they put them on all the boards. Watching them try to stand up is just
It is
it is
entertaining.
entertainment. Yeah.
It is entertaining.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. And I
I would-
Always have something
remember
going on.
I remember too going into Shields for the first time. I was like, I've
Mm.
been in
Oh,
sporting
yeah.
goods stores, but I've never been in a sporting goods store like this. I mean, just
Yes.
massive. It's
Mhm.
kind of like going into
Massive.
Buc-ee's, right? Yeah. You're just like, wow. I've been in, convenient gas station places, but this is nothing like I've ever experienced. And just Buc-ee's is such a great place. Shout out to Buc-ee's. Thank you.
Yeah. You know how they
Yeah,
always talk
Buc-ee's is
about
amazing.
Texas, everything is big. I don't think you really, well, for
Mhm.
me, I didn't really realize, it didn't really resonate that Texas, everything is big until I went
Mhm.
to, on a trip to Europe. And I went to 3 different places, but they were all East Europe, just, and everything there was tiny. The bathrooms were small, like closet size. The
Mm.
rooms were tight. The beds were like single beds in the hotel. I mean, everything was just small. I couldn't wait to get back to Texas. I was like, I need space. I need I need to be able to see everything. It was really funny how much I missed it when I was away this past year. So yeah, I like that everything is big.
Yeah, it's just for people listening, the Shields place is so big.
Uh-huh.
There's a Ferris wheel inside
Yeah.
of it. It's like a
Yes.
full-on Ferris wheel you can ride, and then there's a full-on like 4-seater airplane just hanging from the ceiling in the corner, just like it's like
Yes.
almost like it's like just a little toy hanging from the ceiling. That's how big this place is. I mean, it
Yeah.
really, really is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
Yes.
huge.
you'd think, oh, it's a sporting goods store. It can't be that busy. Like it can't get that much business, right?
Hmm.
Everybody's in there all the time. There is not a dead time at all. It is
No.
constantly busy. It's crazy. So it Texas has exploded, especially in our area, Dallas Fort Worth.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this hour has blown by. Absolutely blown by.
Yeah.
This
Hmm.
I'm like, wow, I can't believe we're almost an hour in. And so we kind of close on this question, and then I'll give the floor to you if you want to, kind of leave the audience with any parting words. But what what about the post that we put out made you want to come on the show?
Hmm. Actually, Catherine and I had talked about AIGA stuff, and I just had seen her
Yes.
stuff. And honestly, you're one of the most creative people. Like, I'm always sort of like looking for that it factor when we're designing websites. Like, I want to be the best, and I kept seeing your stuff, and I was like, this is intentional. This is super creative. Like your jacket that you made, I was like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
some cool stuff.
Thanks.
And
Thanks.
yeah, I just don't see that very often. I just don't. It's just not something you see a lot. Where you're like, this is intentional and this is really good, and somebody really enjoys this and has put time. Not just like they enjoy it, but they know like what good creative looks like at this point. And that just got me kind of excited about it. And I was like, honestly, I was like, well, Catherine hasn't responded to all my emails. I should see if I can just join this podcast.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
Wow, putting you on blast.
I know. We'll follow up with you. We just haven't done anything else with the events we
I
talked
know.
about. So,
No, it's all good. I was like,
Too
you know what? I'm
funny.
just gonna. I kept seeing your stuff through, and I was like, I bet this will be a really fun podcast to be on. And I've been trying to get on more podcasts. I just, I'm doing production work and designing, and I manage our team, and I just don't get like I don't get out of my house enough, and so I wanted to
mm,
try to be intentional this year about getting our voice out there a little more and just having really fun, intentional conversations with other intentional and fun people. And that's just
awesome.
kind of what led me to it. So I was like, hopefully this will be fun.
Yes,
That's
definitely
the best
was.
answer we've gotten to date. So thank you. I appreciate that. That was nice. We didn't
Hmm.
even prompt you to say that. So greatly appreciate it. Is there
I
is
wasn't
there any
paid for this.
is there anything you want to leave the audience with as far as, and we'll put all your info in the show notes so people know how to find you,
Sweet.
Yeah.
how to find your company. We want to make sure that, we're also big in helping people. We love promoting creatives. So it's part
Hmm.
of our ethos. So it's very important for us to continue to support the creative community. So anything you want to leave the audience with, as far as, what you want them to know?
Yeah, I guess one thing I guess I really want people to know about Purple Cow specifically is um I know there's a lot of really intentional people building really intentional companies. And if you need somebody who really can help you build a website and not just build a website, but get your story on paper, help you figure out your user journeys and who your buyers are and how to speak to them in an intentional way, something you're really proud of. Like you say, like, this is my website. I'm very proud of this. And I'm going to send people here because it's going to help me win more work. It's going to help tell my story better. It's going to tell people who we are as a company and what our services are. And I think currently, I'm like one of the only go-tos I know that does that really well. Our company as a whole, not just me, but my team. They're just a really good team of people working with us. And so I think that's something we really look for is if you've got a remarkable company, you need somebody who can do something intentional, and that's what we do really well. And then just on the other side, I think brands out there, people out there, just be intentional. Don't freak out so much about AI.
Mm,
Embrace it while you can. Seek to be honest. Seek to keep doing really good work for people, and the end will work itself out. That's all I can say about the AI stuff and about that. I just don't think it's worth worrying about. There's a lot of great people in the world, and that stuff can rob your joy if you let it. So
mm.
just keep being intentional, keep doing good work, and I think that will speak volumes for, where we all end up. So,
I love that. I love that. So
Awesome.
make sure everyone checks out Purple Cow and help support local creatives and local agencies. So that will bring this episode to a close, whichever 21, 22, 21 and a half, whichever number it is. And I just want to say thank you, Kevin, for hanging out with us.
Yes.
And,
Thank you.
we got to know you a little bit better, and I would love to have you on again. So if you
Absolutely.
ever feel
This was
inclined,
fun.
we will definitely have you on again, and really appreciate it and enjoyed the conversation. So on that note, that'll bring this episode to a close. I'm Drew.
And I'm Kat.
And
I'm
Thanks,
Kevin.
everyone.
thanks, everybody.